Rain fell in slow, steady drops, soaking the broken sidewalks of an old Detroit neighborhood where dreams either rusted or ran away. In the heart of it all, 15-year-old Malik Carter pulled his hoodie tighter around his head, his worn-out sneakers splashing through puddles on his way home from the diner. He was small for his age, skinny from a life of rationed meals, but there was something in his eyes that no poverty could dim: hope. He had just finished his weekend shift washing dishes at Marla's Diner, a modest place with chipped booths and a jukebox that hadn't worked in years. Malik worked every spare hour he could find, scraping together enough money to help his mom pay rent. His father had died when he was 10, shot during a robbery while walking home from his second job. Since then, it had been just Malik, his mother, and his younger sister Nia, clinging to each other like survivors in a storm. As he passed by the diner's front windows, Malik noticed an elderly couple sitting inside. Their clothes were tidy but old-fashioned, the woman in a faded pink dress, the man in a tan coat with worn cuffs. They smiled at each other like the world had stopped for just the two of them. Something about them, maybe the gentle way the man reached across the table to brush a crumb from the woman's cheek, made Malik pause. He stepped back inside. "Hey, Marla," he said, nodding toward the couple. "How much is their bill?" Marla blinked at him. "Why?" "I want to pay it." She frowned. "Malik, baby, you barely make enough to keep your lights on." "I know." He pulled out a crumpled 20 from his pocket, the bulk of what he'd earned that day. "But they remind me of my grandparents. They used to save pennies just to have one nice meal out. Let me do this." Marla sighed, nodded, and took the bill. Malik didn't stick around to be thanked. He slipped out the door, the bell jingling softly behind him. What Malik didn't see, what he couldn't have known, was the tear sliding down the old woman's cheek as the waitress informed her of his act. Nor did he see the elderly man glance out the window just in time to see Malik disappearing down the street. The next morning, Malik woke to a knock at the door. His mother, Monica, opened it cautiously, clutching her robe tight. Outside stood a tall man in a charcoal gray suit, a luxury car humming at the curb behind him. "Good morning, ma'am," the man said, smiling kindly. "I'm looking for Malik Carter. Is he home?" Monica's heart pounded. "Why? Who are you?" The man extended a card. It read, "David Langston, CEO, Langston Enterprises." Monica narrowed her eyes. "What's this about?" "Yesterday, your son did something extraordinary. I'd like to speak with him." Malik rubbed sleep from his eyes as he came to the door. When he saw the man standing there, he instinctively stepped behind his mother. David crouched to his level, eyes soft. "You paid for an old couple's meal yesterday. You probably don't know this, but that man was my father." Malik blinked. "Wait, what?" "My parents, John and Clara Langston, celebrated their 60th anniversary yesterday. They didn't tell anyone where they were going. They just wanted a quiet day. When they told me later that night about the young boy who paid for their meal, I had to find you." Malik's eyes widened. "I didn't do it for attention. I just wanted to be kind." David smiled. "Exactly why I'm here." He reached into his coat and pulled out a large envelope. "This," he said, handing it to Malik, "is a full scholarship to any private high school of your choosing, followed by a guaranteed full ride to any college in the country. Room, board, books, everything. Covered." Malik froze. His mother gasped, hand flying to her mouth. David continued, "But there's more. I've also set up a trust fund. It's not massive, but it's enough to help your mom catch up on bills, fix up the house, and not have to work 3 jobs. All because of what you did." Malik's legs gave out. He sat right there on the floor, stunned. "Why would you do all this for me?" David's voice was quiet, reverent. "Because my father told me something I'll never forget. He said, that boy saved my faith in this world. He said you reminded him of the kind of man he tried to be. And that if more people were like you, this world would be better. So, I'm honoring his words. News of Malik's story spread like wildfire. Local news anchors showed up. Then national reporters. Cameras rolled as Malik, stunned and shy, shared what he'd always believed: you don't have to be rich to be kind. You just have to care. At school, he was no longer just the quiet boy with second-hand clothes. He was a symbol. Teachers praised him. Students looked at him differently. But through it all, Malik remained humble, grounded. He kept working part-time at the diner, insisting he wanted to earn things, not just receive them. But not everyone celebrated. There were whispers. Boys in his neighborhood muttered about selling out, about getting lucky. Jealousy creeped into corners. One night, while walking home, Malik was confronted by a group of teens who had once been his friends. "You think you better than us now?" one sneered. Malik's voice was calm. "No. I think I got lucky because I did the right thing." A punch was thrown. Malik didn't fight back. When police arrived, he was bleeding but refused to press charges. He simply said, "They're angry because they don't see another way out. I used to feel that way too." That night, David Langston called him personally. "You handled that like a man, Malik. With grace and strength. I'm proud of you." Over the next few years, Malik soared. He was accepted into one of the best prep schools in Michigan, then later into Stanford. He studied social policy and urban development, determined to one day rebuild neighborhoods like the one he grew up in. But life didn't stay easy. His mother was diagnosed with breast cancer during his sophomore year. Malik nearly dropped out to come home and care for her, but Monica refused. "You were meant for more," she said, voice frail but firm. "You've already given me more than I ever dreamed. Now go give the world more, too." She passed away 6 months later. At her funeral, hundreds came, neighbors, teachers, strangers who had read about her son and were inspired by their story. Malik spoke through tears, "My mother taught me that love doesn't depend on what you have, it depends on what you give. I owe everything to her." 10 years passed. Malik returned to Detroit, not just as a success story, but as a builder of change. He founded the Carter Foundation, aimed at empowering youth in low-income neighborhoods. He launched free tutoring programs, community kitchens, mental health centers. At the ribbon-cutting ceremony for his new community center, David Langston, now gray and retired, stood beside him. "My father always said that a single kind act can ripple through generations," David said. Malik is proof of that. As cameras flashed and applause rang out, Malik looked out at the crowd, at the kids who looked just like he once did, and the parents who held on to hope by their fingernails. He said, "You might feel invisible. You might feel like no one sees you. But I see you. And I believe in what you can become." That night, as Malik sat in his modest apartment overlooking the city he loved, he held a faded $20 bill in his hand. He'd kept it, never spending it, as a reminder. His sister Nia, now a teacher, walked in with a smile. "You ready for tomorrow?" "What's tomorrow?" he teased. She rolled her eyes. "Your honorary doctorate speech. Don't act like you forgot." He grinned, placing the bill back in a frame on his desk. "I didn't forget," he said. "I was just remembering where it all started." She hugged him tightly. "You've made the world a better place, big bro." Malik looked out the window, where rain had started to fall again, soft and steady. "Just trying to pay it forward," he whispered.